Welcome back, guys. Or if you're new to my channel, this is Automotive Anonymous. That's the 2025 Subaru Impreza. But more importantly, it's a base model, which is the cheapest of the three trim levels currently offered in the Impreza lineup, which if you're new to the Subaru Impreza, this is the cheapest model that Subaru currently offers. So for $23,000, we need to see what this one has to offer. It is in a color that Subaru likes to call magnetic gray metallic paint, which even on a cloudy day like today with 40-mile-per-hour gusts in the wind, I think it looks fantastic just staring at it from this parking lot. But it's not perfect, so today I'll share the good, the bad, and the ugly of this cheap Subaru Impreza to help you guys at home decide if it might be the right economy car for you, or if you should leave it at the lot and look at the other crossover, compact, little hatchback wagon type of competition. So today you can expect to see a walk around. All the specs, initial driving impressions, 0 to 60 on GPS, and then my final thoughts. And huge thanks to the Twin Falls Subaru for letting me borrow this one for the day. I'll link them below if you're interested because they sell below MSRP and they ship all over the country. And with that said, let's dive right into this review. And if you like Subaru, the 2025 Impreza, or my video, please be so kind to consider liking my video. Basically, that lets me know you want to watch more stuff like this. It helps the video get shared, but it'll help you as well by having YouTube choose to show you more stuff like this. Thank you so much. But if you're new to Subaru, or the Subaru Impreza, there's a few things that you should probably know. Subaru is a Japanese automaker, just like Honda, just like Toyota. They're known for building safe, reliable, and affordable vehicles, and the Impreza is really no exception to that. The Impreza started back in 1992. There have been 6 generations of it, with this current generation starting just last year in 2024. And in that time, the Impreza has been everything from a 2-door coupe to a 5-door hatchback like this one. It even used to host the WRX and the STI trim levels, which is pretty cool before they became their own model back in 2015. But while this one was built in Japan, they are also sold in Canada and Japan and the United States, so it's not as global of a platform as some of the other Subarus, but still starting at about $23,610 for this base model for 2025. I think that's a pretty good value. This does have a few extra options like remote start and a few things I'll show you on the window sticker, but overall it's a pretty good value. This one after destination and delivery before your Twin Falls Subaru discount, if you reference my video, is about a $25,000 vehicle. And for that you still have adaptive cruise control, you have lane keep assist, Gen 4 eyesight, really bright LED headlights, you actually have real wheels, not just hubcaps over some steelies. While they are a very small tire, a 205 width with a 16-inch wheel, you at least get real alloy wheels, and overall, a lot of other things you'll see throughout this video. And overall, these are actually pretty fun to drive because they're fairly lightweight and they're not overly huge while delivering a lot of capabilities. This is about 14.6 feet long. The wheelbase is 8.75. It is just under 6 feet wide, just under 5 feet tall, and it weighs about 3,300 pounds while having the typical Subaru 900-pound payload capacity. These can apparently tow up to 2,500 pounds, which feels like a lot for a vehicle like this. If you get the RS with the 2.5-liter boxer compared to this 2-liter, it can actually tow 3,500 pounds, and that really does feel like a lot for an Impreza. To tow an Impreza behind itself is pretty impressive. And then it has 5.1 inches of ground clearance, a 370 final drive ratio, and it can do a full circle in about 35 feet. And then the last few things to mention out here is the gas door does lock when the vehicle's locked, so you don't have to worry about the bums trying to siphon any of your 16.6 gallons of gas. This one with the 2-liter naturally aspirated boxer engine is rated for about 27 in the city, about 34 on the highway, so max road trip and range is a little bit over 560 miles. And then being the base model, with the smallest wheel and tire on it, it is a Firestone tire all season that has about 9/32 of tread depth in a 205 55 16 configuration. Honestly, I think that wheel and tire setup looks pretty decent. Of course, if you're really going to be treading through a lot of deep snow and ice, you might want to upgrade your tire. But then this is the key. You have unlock, lock, hatch release, no power liftgate, and panic button. But this one doesn't have the physical proximity key features because it doesn't have the proximity key. But what you do get is the remote for remote start, which is kind of neat versus having the app if it was a proximity key feature. So you're going to have to unlock the vehicle and then you can open up the door. The driver's side door panel of this looks very familiar, just like the Subaru Crosstrek with the 2-liter that I used to have and all the other Crosstreks and Imprezas I've driven. The door panel is basically the same. It's just you're going to have more of a cloth door card on this, which I actually prefer because I think it dampens the sound a little bit better than some of the more reflective materials. But overall, everything is laid out how you'd expect on a typical Subaru. There's nothing on the door sill. You do have all-weather mats, rubberized pedals and dead pedal. You have the fuse box right here, hood release, knee airbag. Not really any options other than dashboard lighting, ventilation, lighting stock, tilt and telescope wheel, non-leather wrapped on this lower trim level. And then these cloth seats, which do have the bar to pull forward and the handles to recline. I actually like them a lot. I think they're very comfortable. And sitting inside the Impreza Base is actually a really nice place to be. And no, not just because it's really windy and starting to hail and rain a little bit outside, but because it's just well designed. This is basically what the Crosstrek is before it got some black plastic cladding fenders and the 3-inch lift over what this model is. This is well designed, comfortable, convenient. It's easy to find a nice, comfortable driving position. There's a lot of room. You could be really tall. I'm 5'11" and I fit in here very nicely. But when we fire it up, the needles dance. Has really bright LED headlights. The horn, it's very high pitched. That's what you get on the Crosstrek and the Impreza. The more expensive models do have a slightly more masculine or deeper sounding horn. Of course, you can always change out your horns on the front by the radiator if you want to. But I do like that the horn does extend down. It doesn't have a leather wrap like some other Subarus, but you still have voice and volume on the left, adaptive cruise on the right. No paddle shifters for the 8 simulated gears of the CVT. You can still go through info, access a little bit of information. I do like that all of these cars have the tire pressure monitoring system. And then this is your dual screen, which honestly almost seems more responsive than the larger 11.8-inch screen. So I know it looks kind of silly, but in person I think it looks better than it does on camera. And I actually kind of dig it a little bit. It's just kind of fun. But I don't know why Subaru designed a second system for all their base model vehicles instead of just including the one screen and not making you feel like you spent less money, which to design a new system you'd think might cost a little bit more. Anyways, you have a few plugins, aux, nice big storage. Backup camera takes up the full upper screen, and the clarity is honestly probably better than that on the 11.6-inch screen, which is kind of funny. You have electronic parking brake, nothing right there, 12-volt cup holders, carryover CD tray from the old console design, and then you have a nice big center console. For being a compact car, that's actually really impressive. This doesn't have the auto-dimming mirrors, the HomeLink system, any of that. It also doesn't have a spot for your sunglasses, but it has incandescent lighting. It has an extension piece right there that slides. Nothing there for lighting, but overall, for 23 to 25 grand, I think this is a fantastic vehicle, and it's just fun to drive. I like it a lot. But with that said, let's hop in the back, and let's see how well I sit behind myself with this very relaxed, very comfortable driving position. The back seats on the Impreza and the Crosstrek variations are honestly fantastic. The doors open huge, so you can easily get big dogs and car seats in here. I like that a lot, and I wish other automakers were better about that and thinking about that. But the door panel, nothing surprising, just materials that are going to age well, not show a lot of dirt and scratches. There's no cloth back here, so there might be a little bit less sound deadening for the back seat occupants. I don't know. You do have some grip, but honestly, it's not like you really have to step up to that to get up to the roof rails. This doesn't have roof rails. The vehicle's not that tall to begin with. And then it does have a 40-60 split. These seats are really light. If I didn't have my seat so far back, it could easily lay almost flat. The reason it doesn't lay flat is these Imprezas no longer have a spare tire in the back, so there is a divot. You get more cargo capacity than you do probably on the Crosstrek. But with that said, sitting behind myself at 5'11", I have a little bit of room in front of my knees. No vents, no plugins, nothing like that. And then this base model does not have a fold-down armrest, which is a shame, but visibility is okay. The headliner is more of a gray, lighter color, so it does let a little bit more light reflect in here than on some other vehicles. So overall, it doesn't feel too tight, too compact, and I'm not getting too claustrophobic. But with that said, let's hop out and I'll show you the back. The back of the Impreza I actually think looks really nice in this magnetic gray color with those LED taillights. It's just kind of a nice color combo. But because none of these have the power liftgate, just like the Crosstreks even for the new generation, you're gonna have to manually open it. Thankfully, it doesn't open too high. You also don't have the pin code on this one where you can easily access the vehicle without having your keys on you. But you do have a lowered floor. You have a dog bowl for some water and for some food right next to it. You do have some tie downs. You could put a privacy shade in here. You have an incandescent light. It's pretty easy for me to reach and drop these seats if I want to. You have the regular cloth mats that came on the vehicle, and then some storage and a fix-a-flat kit. with a scissor jack and your tools and your eye bolt hole for recovery points. I don't know why they have the scissor jack if you don't have a spare tire. I honestly think that's a shame that Subaru got rid of that. But otherwise, it's easy to reach up here. It's easy to throw it down and move on to the passenger side. If you get to ride shotgun in the Impreza, you'll notice you also don't have any proximity key features and no physical key to open it if you were out of battery or just needed to, like you do on the driver's side. But the door panel, you have cloth again. Overall, looks very similar. Nothing really on the seats that the driver's side didn't get. These aren't heated or anything, but they are very comfortable. No storage on the side of the transmission tunnel or above the glove box. But you do have probably the same amount of space that you have in the Crosstrek. It's enough to get the job done, but it's not an excessive amount of extra space back there. And with that said, let's come around to the front and I'll pop the hood and show you the 2-liter boxer engine. Under the hood is a 2.0 liter boxer engine, naturally aspirated. And honestly, after owning one of these for over 40,000 miles, my old Crosstrek Premium, I can say it's a pretty good vehicle. This is built in Japan, makes about 152 peak horsepower, about 148 pound-feet of torque. And just like all the other Subarus on the global platform, air filter, induction, upper intake manifold, alternator, AC compressor, serpentine belt, top mount oil filter, all of your reservoirs, your fluid, your fuse boxes on the periphery. Very easy to work on, very compact. You can see the boxer block right there, just very horizontal, very low center of gravity. And you can see what is probably the TR580 transmission down there. So honestly, Subaru makes a very compact, very well refined and well designed little powertrain that's overall pretty easy to work on. But with that said, let's drop the hood and take this thing for a drive. Initial driving impressions of the base model Subaru Impreza, the cheapest Subaru that you can currently buy brand new. And honestly, because it's part of the Subaru global platform, it drives like all the other ones, because this is basically the body that the Crosstrek is modeled off of. You get everything you'd expect from a Crosstrek for the most part, at least the exterior dimensions, the visibility. The side mirrors are really big, they do a good job. The rear view mirror goes right down the center of this sub 15-foot long vehicle. And honestly, even these dual screens seem to work a little bit better than the giant 11.6 inch screen, although they maybe don't look as pleasant as the large screen from appearance wise. But overall, it just drives really well. Without a sunroof on this one, you don't get as much road and wind noise going through the cabin. This though, on the Firestone tires, which are probably a pretty cheap tire, and on this country road, really is not kicking up many rocks anyways. It just drives smooth, it's comfortable, it's convenient. But I do have to mention, when I finished filming the middle grade, the Sport, the red one recently, I did drive over probably about 5 or 6 inches of snow and ice, and I could hear it and I could feel it rubbing on the underbody. So if you are gonna regularly drive through deeper snow or terrain like that, you might wanna consider the Crosstrek variation of this for a couple $1,000s more. But being this low to the ground, it doesn't really feel any different than any other sedan. I still feel like 5 inches of ground clearance can get you where you need to be. These speakers though on this base model are notoriously bad. Having them up about halfway on the volume knob seems to kind of distort them a little bit. I highly recommend you consider upgrading if you care about audio at all. Personally, I don't that much. It doesn't bother me, but I think some of you guys are gonna be disappointed in it. Overall though, this just drives really well, and for about $23,000 to $25,000, depending on how you configure it, I don't think you can go wrong. I think this is a nice vehicle. It's smooth, it handles well. It still has Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive, making it a lot more capable than most of the other compact little hatch type of sedan cars that you get, even by the other Japanese automakers, let alone the Americans. And for 23 grand, you really can't go wrong either way. This is half the cost of the average new car, but I feel like it's more than half of the value of the average new car because it does a lot of things quite well. It even handles that bump decently enough. But with that said, let me get to the private road and we'll do a 0 to 60. Zero to 60 in the 2025 base model Impreza. I'll do a little bit of a brake rev, but keep in mind density altitude's 3,600 feet, so this is down on power 10 to 13%. Let's see what it can do. And true 0 to 60 came in at 10.37 seconds, or a little bit faster if we discredit rollout. My final thoughts of the 2025 Subaru Impreza Base model is it's a fantastic bargain. It's been about a year and a half since I drove a 2024 base model when they first came out early in the summer of 2023. And honestly, I've missed this. I think this is such a good deal, such a good bargain for $23,000. You really can't go wrong. Having top safety pick plus ratings, basically, having LED headlights, all the adaptive cruise control settings, you're really not missing a whole lot of stuff. This car in magnetic gray metallic paint even looks really good. That's the same color that I got my Tacomas in back in the day before I switched to Subaru. I like this car a lot. I think it offers a lot, but it's not for everyone. So test drive the competition. Make sure it is the right vehicle for you. Make sure you don't want the black plastic cladding on the fenders, that you don't want or ground clearance like the Crosstrek, or you don't want to just shop around to the Honda or Toyota variants or some other company. I always recommend you test drive a lot of vehicles before you buy one, because this is still too expensive to make the wrong decision. And with that said, I wish you guys the best. I hope you take care. For those of you who watch till the end of all my videos, will you comment below, how did my DJI Mic 2 do in this crazy wind that we're having today? This is one of the windiest videos I've posted in a long time. Hopefully the audio quality isn't as bad as I worry it could be. So comment below if you don't mind. Otherwise, if you got anything out of this video, please consider liking it. Share other thoughts and opinions below. Subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to watch more of my stuff. And check out the Twin Falls Subaru. Otherwise, I wish you guys the best. I hope you take care. Until next time, see ya.